All right, good morning. It is Sunday, the 11th of February, 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Bully-in-Chief David Reimer. Tornado warnings are now in effect for multiple counties across the Brazos Valley into southeast Texas, and a tornado watch is now in effect through 3 p.m. for southeast Texas, including the Houston metro. Let's go ahead and get to it. We'll talk about the two storms we have tornado warnings on right now. Yeah, I gotta fix the titles on these videos real quick. We'll update here in just a moment. Tornado warning number one, we've got a tornado warning on a thunderstorm located in central Grimes, northwestern Montgomery, and southwestern Walker counties in southeast Texas at 9:01 a.m. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 9 miles northeast of Anderson or 18 miles northeast of Navasota, moving east at 40 miles an hour. This tornado warning does include the communities of Roans Prairie, Singleton, Anderson, Richards, Shiro, Carlos. This possible tornado is now located east of Highway 90 and Highway 30, moving east at 40 miles per hour. This tornado warning will likely need to be extended in both duration and coverage area, and eventually a new tornado warning likely will include the cities of New Waverly and Huntsville on Interstate 45, where we'll go ahead and advise no travel as this dangerous thunderstorm does approach from the west. So again, that is tornado warning number one, moving towards Huntsville and New Waverly. Tornado warning number two is for a supercell thunderstorm located near Round Top. That is going to be moving east northeast towards Shelby, Burton, Brenham, Kenny, and eventually Chapel Hill. That tornado warning does include portions of northwestern Austin County and southwestern Washington County until 9:30 a.m. Central Time. So that is a tornado warning for northwestern Austin County and southwestern Washington County in southeast Texas until 9:30 a.m. and a tornado warning until 9:15 a.m. for Grimes, Montgomery, and Walker counties. This does not include the city of Conroe, Willis. This does not include places like Prairie View or Giddings. These are for two supercell thunderstorms, both capable of producing tornadoes as they move east at 40 miles per hour. So again, if you are in either community, please take your safe place. This is for February the 11th. I'm aware the titles were off, but it is February the 11th, Sunday morning, 9:06 a.m. Central Time. If we're having that issue on Facebook here, we'll make life easy. I'll just reset the videos on those platforms and go with the new dates. That'll fix a lot of the questions we just had. So again, it is February the 11th, 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Bully-in-Chief David Reimer. We have tornado warnings for two thunderstorms. Storm number one, located near Round Top and Shelby, moving northeast towards Brenham, Kenny, Burton. That is the storm on the bottom left of your screen. Storm number two, located near Richards, moving towards Huntsville and New Waverly. And that is on the top portion of your screen. Now, something we're going to have to watch for is, I think this thunderstorm near Huntsville and New Waverly is very near an outflow boundary that is moving south. Once it is on the north side of that boundary, the potential for a tornado will decrease substantially. But the question of exactly where that boundary is in location to the circulation of this thunderstorm is still quite questionable. So we'll have to treat it seriously until things something changes. To those asking if I answer questions, sure, but not during tornado coverage usually when I'm looking at radar screens, and not specifically chat rooms, which isn't meant to be an offense to anyone, but it kind of does involve me needing to pay attention to the thunderstorms and do my own radar analysis. So we're still getting kind of set up here. So again, this is a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado near Richards and Shiro, moving east at 40 miles per hour. This storm, generally speaking, is on a general beeline to impact New Waverly and Interstate 45 on Interstate 45, Huntsville to New Waverly. I need more caffeine. Hold on, we're drinking more caffeine. And that is a good rule, Austin Hunter. If I'm talking about you right now, bad problems. If I'm not talking about you, you're generally in decent shape. And I am aware we've had storms producing nasty size hail all morning across East Texas, back down into portions of the Arklatex. And again, generally speaking, we're going to be focusing on the most dangerous thunderstorms, which isn't meant to be an affront to folks getting hit by, big hail, but we're going to be focusing on the tornado warnings. But as always, you are welcome to check on storms in your area with our free interactive weather radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, or by utilizing the radar in our free mobile app, which coverage should be loaded in on now, so we should be good to go. What I am going to do, though, is some camera magic. This may or may not bust this camera connection. We've got a new tornado warning coming in. That much I'll tell you. Make sure we're still good to go. We're still good to go. All right, so this new tornado warning is going to include folks in Huntsville, New Waverly, Richards, and Shiro, just like we were talking about. So that warning will pop up here on this screen in a moment. But this will be a new tornado warning until 9:45 a.m. Central Time for eastern Grimes, northwestern Montgomery, southwestern Walker counties. This does include the cities of New Waverly and Huntsville, which means you need to take your tornado safety precautions if you are in either of those communities. And we would advise no travel on Interstate 45 between the communities of, let's just say, Willis on the south side, Huntsville on the north, as this dangerous thunderstorm moves east at about 35 miles per hour. We'll put some spatial tools on here just to give an idea of what is going on. Again, that's going to be Interstate 45. This thunderstorm is going to be approaching Bays Chapel Road. You've got FM 1449, and generally speaking, this is going to be over a fairly rural area until it gets closer to Huntsville and New Waverly, and it's going to do so pretty quickly as we continue to track this thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Latest scan here actually has a pretty tight circulation. This is the which way the wind's blowing mode as we take a look at the Houston NEXRAD weather radar. We have a pretty good little tight circulation there, what we call gate to gate. That's where you have winds moving towards the radar here in green. Here, I'll clean this up a little bit so it doesn't look like a 5-year-old drew it. That might be a insult to the 5-year-olds based on my drawing skills. Color in the green, that's going to be your winds moving towards the radar down in south sides of Houston. Red's moving away, and where they touch right there, that's what we call your gate-to-gate couplet, or the potential for a low-level circulation and tornado. No sort of debris being detected right now. We'd be looking for a blue circle or a blue donut hole, essentially, surrounded by a sea of red. This product would show that blue, which would be debris being lofted by a tornado. At this point, we don't have that, but this strong circulation approaching Bay Chapel Road near or just south of Pool Road. This is going to be east of Richards, east of Shiro. If you are in Singleton or Anderson, you are clear from this storm. If you're in Navasota, you're clear from this storm. It's east of you and moving away. It is moving east towards Huntsville and New Waverly. All right, let's go back down. Let's see which radar is going to be closest to this storm. One moment, please. All right, we're going to have to use Granger, I think. Yep. All right, so we're going to switch radars to get a good low-level look at this thunderstorm approaching Brenham. This is going to be a tornado warning for a thunderstorm currently east of Round Top, east of Carmine, moving towards the city of Brenham. Now, this storm looks much less impressive in terms of its low-level velocity signature. The storm further northeast, we were seeing a lot of those reds and greens touching the couplet. Here, we don't necessarily have that. What we're dealing with is a thunderstorm capable of producing large hail and a tornado, but it is not as impressive looking right now on the velocity signature, which is good, but it can also ramp up quickly, and the result would again be the possibility of a tornado. So if you are in Burton, Brenham, you are in this tornado warning polygon, that means you need to take tornado safety precautions. It's going to be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Put on hard sole shoes if you got them, a helmet, stuff like that. Keep you safe in case things start flying around. But again, the good news is for the moment, the velocity signature on this thunderstorm looks much less impressive than its counterpart to the northeast, which we'll go back to now. Oh, is the TIAH TDWR down? That is a darn shame. It is. How sad. All right. Make sure Houston is the closest radar. I don't know why it wouldn't be. And again, what we're doing right now is I'm just looking off screen at some detailed radar data, make sure we are set in terms of nasty sauce. So again, the storm of most concern right now is this storm that is approaching Huntsville and New Waverly from the west. You can see it looks like the circulation is now east of Bay Chapels Road. Let me put some more streets on here. East of Bay's Chapel Road. It's going to be coming up on Old Deer Camp Road, County Line Road, Walker Loop, FM 3179, eventually coming up on Possum Walk Road. And then after that, we get closer to Interstate 45 and New Waverly and Huntsville. So again, this is a thunderstorm showing strong indications of being capable of putting a tornado down. We have not had any ground reports of a tornado at this point. We haven't heard from any spotters, chasers, etc. that anything is down, but the low-level velocity signature, the which way the wind is blowing mode, certainly does have a look of concern to it right here. Now, one product we can look at, besides the how hard it's raining mode, is debris tracker, or meteorologically speaking, correlation coefficient. This product is able to take a 3D look, vertical slice, horizontal slice, with the radar beams, put all that data in a fancy super-duper computer, correlate the data, compute it, then a few seconds, and determine, hey, all these shapes in this sector are the same. Okay, that's good. They correlate. That's the typical look we get on this, reds. If it takes all that data, has a bunch of different shapes, sizes over a small area, the correlation coefficient is lower. We start getting greens and blues here. And what that would mean is debris being lofted by a tornado. The radar beam plus the fancy algorithm, the data is able to determine that and show us that as a visual representation. And we'd be looking for essentially a blue donut hole surrounded by a sea of red. I just call it the blue donut. And that would be a confirmation that debris is being lofted from a tornado, thus a tornado. We don't have that right now. Yes, there is a slight signal degradation there, but I don't think that is necessarily debris. That's not a strong enough signature. But this circulation certainly is capable of producing at least a brief tornado as it continues its march off to the east. But we haven't heard any ground reports at this point that a tornado has occurred. But definitely want to take this storm seriously. Looking at the radar data, we've got winds moving away from the radar down in Dixon, League City at about 60 miles an hour, winds moving towards at about 20 to 25, so 80 to 85 mile an hour circulation over about a couple mile wide region. Now what we'd be looking for is if that ends up tightening further, or, think of it this way, ballerina, whatever, skating, arms out, rotating slower. Bring their arms in, they're able to spin faster. Same methodology principle applies here. And that's what we're going to be watching for, is if this area of circulation is able to tighten up. One analogy, tighter than a tick's behind. Bright pink right against bright green. Stronger indication of a tornado. Regardless, we do note this thunderstorm is likely producing quarter to ping pong ball size hail as it moves east at about 30 to 40 miles an hour. Circulation now coming up to Walker Loop, Farm to Market 3179, County Line Road, east of Bays Chapel Road. And there's an update to the tornado warning polygon. I'll just go ahead and read this. We do have reports now of a confirmed tornado. Well, at least at 9:05, we had a report of a tornado near Richard, so that's 15 minutes ago. So, okay, we had reports of at least a spin-up tornado. I'm not sure why we don't have an LSR on that to help us, or at least those of us not in NWS chat, know what exactly is going on to bring you that information, but apparently you have to actually work at a TV station nowadays to be in that program, even though it's 2023, but why would the Weather Service actually want to, keep up with the 21st century and not be 20 years behind in everything? So again, a tornado was reported back in Richards about 15 minutes ago. No idea of any damage or anything. That information is not on an LSR, or at least on the data screen I'm seeing here. That circulation, again, would now be several miles northeast, moving towards Huntsville and New Waverly. So 15 minutes ago, we had a report of a spin-up tornado. No recent reports now, but, again, that at least confirms this thunderstorm has, at one point, produced a tornado. So if it's done it then, it could try to do it again now, which is why we have a tornado warning in effect. So, again, at 9:19 a.m., a possible tornado is located 13 miles north of Montgomery or 14 miles southwest of Huntsville, moving east at 30 miles per hour. This possible tornado will be near Huntsville and Huntsville State Park around 9:30 a.m., at New Waverly around 9:35. So again, this storm continues to make its march off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. Now, let's go back southwest. I don't want to leave y'all near Brenham out of it. We'll take a look at the how hard it's raining mode. And this storm looks much more anemic at this point. It looks like the updraft has weakened considerably, which is good, and that the circulation itself also likewise does not look that impressive. Yeah, we do have a bit of a circulation here. This storm is definitely in rotation aloft. You can see that. And as that continues to move northeast into the city of Brenham over the next 10 minutes, we can't rule out a spin-up tornado. Maybe some nickel to quarter-size hail with that, but I'll be honest with you, the way it looks right now, definitely not as concerned about that storm as I am with the storm further to the northeast, now east of Richards, moving towards Huntsville and New Waverly. That being said, of course, a tornado warning is a tornado warning, and we would encourage y'all in the city of Brenham to go ahead and be better safe than sorry and treat this storm as you would any other tornado warning by taking shelter. You're probably going to get some heavy rain, some lightning, quick round of small to pocket change size hail, and worst case scenario, you get a quick spin-up tornado and some strong winds as this storm moves northeast through the city of Brenham over the next 5 to 10 minutes. If you're wondering why we're not talking about storms near you, you're wondering what's going on in your neck of the woods, etc., keep in mind we're focusing on the most intense storms here, and those are the storms currently capable of producing tornadoes northwest of the Houston metropolitan area. I know we've had storms dropping hail, wind, lightning galore all morning across parts of North Texas, East Texas, back into Central Texas, and you are certainly welcome to track those storms with our free interactive weather radar on our website and in our free mobile app. But again, the best way I can describe this is if I'm talking about a storm near you, not good. If I'm not talking about the storms near you, that's generally a good sign because I'm focusing on the most intense thunderstorms at this point. It is 9:24 a.m., the 11th of February, 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Bully-in-Chief David Reimer tracking 2 thunderstorms with tornado warnings on them this morning. The first is a thunderstorm that has a history of producing at least one brief tornado. This thunderstorm is now coming up on Farm to Market 3179, the Walker Loop and County Line Road, moving east towards Possum Walk Road, the cities of Huntsville and New Waverly. Now, this thunderstorm is probably going to stay north of Highway 150, north of the intersection of 150 and 75, just east of Interstate 45 in New Waverly, but northwest of New Waverly and north of New Waverly, the center of town, this thunderstorm is probably going to be a problem for y'all. And the same thing goes for Huntsville. This tornado probably going to stay south of Highway 30 for now, south of the core downtown region of Huntsville. But if you're between Huntsville, south sides of the city, New Waverly, north sides of the city, you need to be in a safe place. You can see the latest radar scan just came in. Velocity looking a little more threatening here. For what it's worth, we're looking about 7,000 feet above the ground here. So with that being said, we're not necessarily looking at the very lowest level tilts of this thunderstorm. Let me see if I can show you that in a visual representation. We're looking, again, 7,500 feet above the ground. We're looking at the mid-levels of the thunderstorm. We're not looking at the lowest levels here or where there would be a tornado. We're looking about 75 miles away from the radar down in portions of the southern Houston metro, League City and Dickinson. So it's not the greatest low-level look at this. We're looking at the mid-levels. So don't think what you're seeing here on radar is exactly where this would be at the surface. There's a level of tilt involved in thunderstorms, especially those in a strong wind shear environment like this. So it could be a couple miles off from exactly where it's shown on this radar screen. But we would definitely encourage folks in Huntsville and New Waverly to be in a safe place. It's going to be lowest level. Here we've got a new tornado warning. Looks like the Weather Service has elected to extend the tornado warning for the thunderstorm near Brenham. So what we're going to do, we'll go back here, cover this new tornado warning. So like I was saying, it may not be as impressive looking as the thunderstorm approaching Huntsville and New Waverly, but it's still showing some low-level rotation. So if you're in the city of Brenham, we would encourage you to remain in shelter. This new tornado warning does include north central Austin County. I want to emphasize Austin County, not the city of Austin back in Travis County, eastern Washington County, and northwestern Waller counties in southeast Texas until 10 a.m. At 9:25 a.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Brenham, moving east at 40 miles an hour. This thunderstorm will be near the city of Washington at 9:50 a.m. This tornado warning does include Chapel Hill and Washington. As of now, it does not include Navasota, but Navasota, you're getting hit by your own storm right now. So let's go ahead. Let's just zoom out a little. We'll put some arrows on the 2 tornado warned storms right now. Storm 1, Brenham. Storm 2. That might be the most pathetic squiggly line I've ever drawn. I think that calls for more caffeine. Thank you, Alex Bartholomew. I saw that earlier, but I didn't acknowledge you. Again, these storms are moving east, maybe a bit east-northeast at 30 to 40 miles an hour. And thank you to all of our moderators in our chat rooms for helping to answer questions and keep up with the hoopla. What we're doing, again, is focusing on the most dangerous thunderstorms. So again, if you're in Brenham, storm capable of producing a brief tornado now entering town. We're noticing a pretty good lightning uptick with this storm entering Brenham. That's worth noting that it does look like the updraft itself is intensifying, which does indicate the potential for some problems here. We'll switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. Zoom on in, and yeah, we definitely do have some rotation here. Colors in the red, that would be winds moving away from the radar up in Granger. Winds or colors in the green moving towards. So definitely a broad mesocyclone here. Just like the thunderstorm north of Houston, we're looking several thousand feet above the ground, and that doesn't give us the greatest idea of the low levels of this thunderstorm, but definitely the potential for some issues here. Real quick, let me make sure we... pop another radar screen up here. For what it's worth, we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be for the thunderstorm in between our 2 tornado warnings near Navasota, east of Navasota. To be perfectly blunt, it is entirely possible we get a tornado warning out of that shortly. That's showing increasing indications of rotation, and thus, there's words, I know, difficult for me to actually vocalize and track this. Thus, certainly possible we end up with a 3rd tornado warning with this thunderstorm here shortly. What I have learned today is I need to put a 3rd studio light right here so we don't get the shadow from the microphone on my head, which you're not really seeing because the camera angle is a bit off center to the left. Do I want to move the camera angle? Nah, we'll just leave it for now. Sorry, we rearranged all these monitors and all the equipment this past week, so I'm kind of still getting used to everything. I'll post a picture later, but alright. So again, 3 storms I'm concerned about. 1, the storm approaching areas north of New Waverly and Huntsville. If you're in New Waverly, 150-75, tornado warning is north of you now. You're not in this warning. If you were actually in New Waverly, where 150 and 75 intersect, you're clear. If you were just north, you need to be in shelter all the way up to the city of Huntsville. Pretty strong indications now of a circulation and a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. This thunderstorm is moving east-northeast at 30 to 40 miles an hour. What I'm going to do is we're going to probe this again. We're seeing winds moving away from the radar down in Dickinson at about 60, winds moving towards at about 30. And again, we're looking several thousand feet above the ground here. It is not the greatest angle to get a look at this, but it does continue to indicate, along with that bean shape we're seeing, the potential for problems. You can see we're getting an updated radar scan there, and that will allow us to get a better look at what's going on right now. So we'll switch back over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. I'm going to get rid of some of these labels. I'm going to redo some of these street labels for you. We're going to, whoops. We're going to go to, I'm going to give you a full screen view of this. We'll turn the chat back on in a minute. Red Hawk Road, Winchester Road, Fire Sky Road. You need to be in a safe place now. Bath Lane, Ball Road, Robinson Creek Road. You've got Interstate 45 off to the east. The State Park, Huntsville State Park. You need to be in a safe place now. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Do not be in a travel trailer or vehicle. Get to a site-built structure. You cannot be in a tent either. I think that's self-explanatory. Even if we don't have a tornado down, this thing's likely going to have very strong winds with it on the backside of the circulation that could knock trees down. We don't need folks getting hurt or killed out in the state park with trees coming down on them, or on their vehicle, on their tent, on their RV. You get the picture. So if you're in Huntsville State Park, you need to be in a safe place immediately, as a dangerous thunderstorm with a history of producing a tornado continues to move to the east. And then if you're in the city of Huntsville itself, Veterans Memorial Parkway, all the way up to Highway 30 in Huntsville, you need to be in a safe place. That'll be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If this thunderstorm continues, and I don't see why it won't for a while, those of you in Oakhurst to Point Blank may have an issue with this down the road. Over to Onalaska. I mispronounced that back in 2020 during the April tornado, and I'll probably do it again here. But again, y'all need to be getting ready as well, even if you're not under the tornado warning just yet. All right, let's go ahead. We'll zoom out. Storm number 2 I'm concerned about is east of Navasota on Highway 105 moving towards Montgomery. This is a severe thunderstorm warning for now, but the potential certainly exists. It will need to be upgraded to a tornado warning if the... Oh, yeah. Ooh, I don't like that. The low-level velocity data doesn't look super-duper impressive right now, but what we do see is that hook echo, that appendage, which is certainly a problem in itself. So if you are east of Navasota, west of Montgomery, in places like Dobbin to Stoneham, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning right now. Not a tornado warning, but I would not be shocked if we get a tornado warning for this storm soon. And that would eventually be an issue for places like Montgomery, New Waverly, actually New Waverly this time, perhaps down to Willis. Storm number 3 is a severe thunderstorm now exiting Brenham to the east. If you're in the city of Brenham, you are going to be out of this in 5 minutes. Just give it 5 more minutes. If you're in the city of Brenham, it's already mostly east of town already, but let's just, out of respect, give it a few more minutes. Chapel Hill up to Washington. You need to be in a safe place. That'll be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Hard sole shoes, helmet. There you go. So again, we have 2 tornado warnings and maybe 3 here pretty quickly. 1 now exiting Brenham to the east. Brenham, give it 5 minutes, 9:40 a.m. Come out of your shelter, you'll be clear unless you're east of town. Chapel Hill, you need to be in a safe place. That does include Farm to Market 1155 between highways 290 and 105. You need to be in a safe place. I'll go ahead and try to put some road labels on here. I realize you may not necessarily be able to read these as I plop them down. I'm just doing them for my reference. We'll put the chat back on the screen. I know y'all like that, and the whole video algorithm likes that. For what it's worth, I am glancing up to look as well. There's an update on that tornado warning. At 9:37 a.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located just east of Brenham, moving east at 40 miles an hour. This tornado will be near Washington at 9:50 a.m. The tornado warning continues until 10 a.m. for eastern Washington, northwestern Waller counties, and southeast Texas. Let's get back up here to this storm in Huntsville. Now, I'll tell you this, I do not like that shape. Notice how we're getting that kind of kidney bean shape here. That is indicative of a storm under rotation. You can definitely see that on the which way the wind's blowing mode. So again, those of you from Huntsville south to the north sides of New Waverly, Interstate 45, you need to be in a safe place. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Hard sole shoes, good idea. But at this point, just be in a safe place. This storm, generally speaking, is on a beeline to impact the community of Oakhurst, Point Blank, Onalaska in the next 1 hour if it continues, and it very well may. So this is an early heads up. Y'all are not under a warning yet, but you're probably going to be at some point in the next hour. Oakhurst, Point Blank, Onalaska, get ready. You've got some time. We did this back in April of 2020. We're going to possibly be doing it again today. So once y'all get under a tornado warning, you should know the routine by now. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Hard sole shoes, grab a helmet, can be a bicycle helmet, and just, get ready. We're going to be dealing with this for a while, I think. We haven't had any recent reports of tornadoes. The last report was 9:05 a.m. near the community of Richards. No recent reports, but this thunderstorm itself is definitely capable of producing a tornado. Try to get some, and again, I'm going to put some roads back on here. The circulation is now east of Possum Walk Road, near Red Hawk Road, Branding Iron Road, Sundog Road neighborhood. Coming up to Interstate 45 near Huntsville State Park roads, Interstate 45. You've got the highway split off southeast of Huntsville. Eventually, this is going to be coming up to FM 2296, Boswell Road, Phelps, Highway 190. And let me tell you, I do not like the look of this. This thing is getting itself quite a bit of an attitude right now. Notice the velocity data. We're getting that tighter than a ticks behind look. A lot of bright reds right against those bright greens. That is the low-level velocity data. Well, lowest level we can get here. And that's going to be your new tornado warning that's just been issued. So again, this red box, tornado warning, that does include Oakhurst. For all intent and purposes, it does not include the community of Point Blank yet, but we're going to say it does because it's moving that way. At 9:40 a.m., a tornado-producing thunderstorm is located over Huntsville State Park or near Huntsville, moving east at 35 miles per hour. This thunderstorm moving east 35 miles an hour. This does include Phelps, Dodge, Oakhurst, Point Blank, Stephen Creek, the city of Huntsville, areas north of New Waverly. You need to be in a safe place as this dangerous thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado continues to trek east at 40 miles per hour now over Huntsville State Park, about to move across Interstate 45 between the cities of Huntsville and New Waverly. After that, we're going to be moving towards Phelps, Dodge, Oakhurst, eventually Point Blank, Stephen Creek, and eventually from there even Onalaska. Those of you on Onalaska, those of you out here on the lake, those of you in Point Blank, Cold Spring, you need to take your tornado safety precautions. Go ahead and get ready. If you're in a travel trailer, a vehicle, camping, get your butt to a site built structure. Gas station, restaurant, hotel. Take your pick. All right. Storm behind it. I was talking about that. Montgomery. Storm number 2. Okay, so here we go. We're going to get a little confusing now. I'm going to try to clear this up. Storm behind this storm now likely has a tornado. Notice that? It's got a couplet tighter than it ticks behind. Areas north of from Montgomery, north of Dobbin, south of Richards, northeast of Stoneham. You need to move to a safe place now immediately as well. This will be east of Navasota. This tornado does include Willis. Eventually could be moving towards New Waverly. So again, this storm showing a very strong indication now of producing a tornado. You can see it's got a well-defined hook echo, well-defined low-level circulation. I'm going to put some roads on here. All right, this is near County Road 206, County FM 1774, just northeast of there. Moving up towards Farm to Market 1486, Johnson Road, north of Montgomery. This is going to be east of County Road 212, 214. Moving towards Farm to Market 149. Bethel Road, Shovelfield Lake Road. So again, clearly last night I was talking about we may have somewhat of a higher tornado threat with these storms in southeast Texas this morning if they were along and south of a warm front or a boundary. These are taking advantage of that environment. I want to make this perfectly clear that these are currently capable of producing quarter to golf ball size hail, tornadoes, damaging winds. Back to the how hard it's raining mode, let's go over what we're dealing with. Now, I'll say this, that storm back near Brenham, in terms of the velocity data, clearly it looks less impressive than the storm southeast of Huntsville, near Huntsville State Park, and the storm north of Montgomery. The storm north of Chapel Hill, in terms of the velocity data, has a resemblance to dog excrement. You can translate that as you may. These other two storms, much, much more dangerous in terms of their appearance right now and capability of producing a tornado. So again, Storm 1 near Huntsville State Park, moving over Interstate 45 right now. Phelps, Dodge, Oakhurst, you need to be in shelter now. Point Blank, Stephen Creek, Highway, what is that? Tell me the highway, you stinking thing. Highway 156. Let me put that on there. That's going to annoy me, so we're going to make sure I keep that on there. I don't know why we're measuring distance. And Ryan Chef, if you're watching, this is where you giving me updates in that chat would be helpful. Okay, so Storm 1. Huntsville State Park, moving towards Oakhurst, Point Blank, Phelps, Dodge, Stephen Creek, Cold Spring, Point Blank, I said that, Oakhurst, and eventually Onalaska, the potential for a tornado. Storm number 2, north of Montgomery, substantial risk of a tornado with this. That's coming up right now on... Sorry, I'm trying to get your roads. Oh, that is... Yeah, I don't like this. I'll tell you this right now. Just, you see how we've got that velocity data red against green, even some velocity folding here where we go from just red to green very quickly? I'll tell you, I don't like that. That is really indicative that we could have a tornado down. Dencourt, FM 1486, County Road 208, north of Montgomery, west of Montgomery, north of Highway 105, coming up to FM 1486, Johnson Road, Bethel Road, Dencourt, Farm to Market 149, Stubblefield Lake Road. Y'all need to be in a safe place now. All right, this could easily have a tornado down with it. Same thing goes for this storm now just east of Interstate 45, this high precipitation supercell. Red against green coming up on Highway 75, just where it splits off with 45 southeast of Huntsville, coming up to Farm to Market 2296, Boswell Road, Phelps, Dean, All right, we've got a tornado down near Huntsville, so yeah, y'all need to be in a safe place now. It's going to be the lowest floor, center room. Thank you, Alex. Away from windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So if you are east to Huntsville, or excuse me, southeast to Huntsville to Phelps, Dodge, Oakhurst, you need to be in a safe place. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. If I'm talking about you, you've got problems. If I'm not talking about you, you're okay. You can keep an eye on the sky with our interactive weather radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, and in the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. So Phelps, Dodge, Oakhurst, Point Blank, Stephen Creek, even over to Onalaska. I strongly recommend you take your tornado safety precautions with a thunderstorm that has a confirmed tornado on it now. Storm number 2 back southwest towards Montgomery, generally moving towards New Waverly. Same thing. You could have a tornado anytime. Dobbin, north of Highway 105, up towards Montgomery. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. I'm going to see if I can move this. Nope. Where's that other cord? Cords galore. It's the same cord. Good to know. So we've got 2 storms capable of producing tornadoes. Really 3, but one of them looks like dog excrement, and that's because it's barely a storm at this point. This storm between Brenham and Navasota, I'll be honest, it looks like it's dissipating to me. It's still got a warning on it northeast of Brenham, but I'm really not too worried about it north of Chapel Hill moving towards Washington. I think that tornado warning will probably be canceled soon. This thunderstorm that is down north of Montgomery, north of Dobbin, approaching FM 1486, moving northeast towards Bethel Road, Johnson Road. Dangerous looking storm capable of producing a tornado. Storm number 2. Now this thing has a confirmed tornado on it. It's down. There's no question about it. Those of you near Phelps, Boswell Road, FM 2296, up to Highway 190. You need to take your tornado safety precautions. You should have taken them 15 minutes ago. But if you're just hearing us now, you've got a tornado down. It's lofting stuff. You need to be in a safe place. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This is going to be Dorrell Road, Harding Street. There's the latest scan. If you are in Oakhurst, Dodge, Phelps, Point Blank, you need to be in a safe place. All right, we've got a new tornado warning. This is going to be a tornado warning back southwest. A thunderstorm with, apparently, according to the Weather Service, a confirmed tornado now north of Dobbin. So both these storms have tornadoes on them. Tornado number 1 now southeast of Huntsville. If you are in the city of Huntsville, along and west of Interstate 45, you're clear. If you're west of 19, you're clear from this storm. If you are in Oakhurst to Point Blank, Phelps, you are in trouble. You need to be in a safe place. Slowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Back southwest, New Waverly. You need to be in a safe place. This is generally moving to or towards you. Willis to New Waverly, north of Montgomery, north of Dobbin. You need to move to a safe place. It's going to be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So 2 storms, each capable of producing tornadoes, and apparently both have. So storm number 1, we'll go back in and look. This is the how hard it's raining mode. I'm actually going to check some reports real quick. The velocity mode, the which way the wind's blowing mode. There you go. At 9:51 a.m., a confirmed tornado 7 miles southeast of Huntsville, moving east at 30 miles an hour. This storm is moving towards Phelps, Dodge, Oakhurst, Point Blank, Stephen Creek, and eventually could be a direct threat to Onalaska. This is a direct threat to Lake Livingston as well. This will be a direct threat to Lake Livingston. So, at this point, let me show you. I'm just going to draw on here. That's a problem. That, generally moving in this direction. It may be doing that for a while. Be ready. Even if you're ahead of this tornado warning, be ready to be in a tornado warning. That's going to be the lowest floor. Center room, away from windows, put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Hard sole shoes. Helmets. Have a way to receive weather information. Be ready. Back to the how hard it's raining mode. According to this, we're not even live on Facebook? What? What is going on? Sorry, I'm having to do housekeeping. Okay, we're live on Facebook now. Apparently we weren't. Thanks, Facebook. You're about as useful as a ingrown toenail, apparently, at this point, but there you go. All right, so we're live there. All right, so we've got two storms, each capable and with a history of tornadoes, apparently. One now, Boswell Road, Phelps. If you're in Huntsville, you are clear from this. City of Huntsville, this is east of you moving away. You're clear. More storms to your southwest that could at some point cause some issues, but they'll probably stay to your south. Okay, I'm done drawing. Let's quit. Storm number 2. New Waverly, I'll tell you, you guys need to get ready for this. This thing's a problem. I don't like that. All right, so two storms, each with the capability of producing a tornado. One near Oakhurst, 5 miles southwest of 5 miles southwest of Oakhurst, 10 miles southwest of Point Blank. Storm number 2. Possible tornado located 4 miles north of Montgomery, 11 miles southwest of New Waverly. Both storms moving east-northeast at 40 miles per hour. New Waverly, get ready. This one's coming to you. I realize first tornado stayed to your north. This second storm with a possible tornado generally moving in your direction. Storm number 1, Point Blank, Lake Livingston, Onalaska, Stephen Creek. Eventually, New Willard, the city of Livingston, and Goodridge. Be ready. You've got some time. Seven Oaks, even. Be ready. You've got some time. We did this back in April 2020. We were here covering that EF3 tornadoes that moved from the north sides of Lake Livingston across Highway 59. Well, we're here for this one, too. Be ready. Get ready. If you're in a vehicle, mobile home, trailer, this is your opportunity now. You've got time to get to a safe place. Don't wait until the tornado warning's issued when this is 15 minutes away. We're giving you 30, 40 minutes heads up. That if you're in Seven Oaks, Livingston, Lake Livingston, Onalaska, Point Blank, Stephen Creek, New Willard, Seven Oaks, Moscow, we're talking almost an hour's lead time here. This storm, with a history of producing a tornadoes moving east-northeast at 35 to 40 miles an hour. You need to be in a safe place. Get ready. Get to a sturdy site-built structure, a gas station, a fast food restaurant, a hotel, a motel. I don't care, a friend's house. Just go to a safe place. You've got some time. Storm number 2, back further southwest, north of Montgomery now on Farm to Market 149. It'll move east of FM 149 towards Stubblefield Lake Road. Both these storms have a look and a history of being capable of producing at least quick spin-up tornadoes. Now, I haven't heard any damage reports yet, which is good, in the sense that you never want to hear damage, but at the same time, you can't take that for verbatim either. Sometimes these damage reports are delayed. So we've got 2 storms capable of producing tornadoes. I've realized East Texas, Tyler, Longview, Marshall, you all got clobbered by hail earlier. I'm very sorry. Hail is not pleasant, but at this point, those storms in Louisiana, we're focusing on the most intense storms right now, and these are capable of producing life-threatening weather in the form of tornadoes and golf ball size hail. If you want to mix it both, golf ball size hail being thrown around by tornadoes. I mean, if you want to, you really want to make it that complicated, you can. But again, both these storms capable of producing tornadoes as they move off to the east northeast at 40 miles an hour. Tornado warning number 1, the eastern warning here near Oakhurst until 10:15 for northwestern San Jacinto and southeastern Walker counties. That'll probably be extended. Storm number 2, a tornado warning for eastern Grimes, northwestern Montgomery, and southern Walker counties until 10:15 a.m. And again, the way both these storms are looking right now, it is probable we'll see these warnings extended beyond 10:15 unless they drastically weaken over the next 20 minutes or so. So again, what we're doing right now is we're watching these things. We're watching where they're moving. We're trying to keep y'all ahead of them, informed about their eventual paths. All right, I'm going to do some housekeeping real quick. We're going to see what's going on, make sure we're not missing anything in the situational awareness department. I'm going to take a look at some short-term data. Drink my caffeine. And again, it's just me, myself, and I in this big room. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 computer monitors around me right now to help maintain situational awareness. I mean, if those were just the ones that are on, there's technically another 4, 2, 6, 7. All right. So again, it is coming up to 10 a.m. now. Good morning. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Boldy and Chief David Reimer. It is... Here, we'll do that. It is, well, 10 a.m. Sunday morning, the 11th of February, 2024. 2 tornado warnings right now. Tornado warning number 1 is coming up on Oakhurst, Point Blank, and Stephen Creek. Possible circulation 4 miles southwest of Oakhurst, 9 to 8 miles southwest of Point Blank, 9 miles due west of Stephen Creek, moving east towards Lake Livingston, Onalaska, east sides of Lake Livingston, West Livingston, the city of Livingston, and eventually, if it makes it that far, New Willard, Seven Oaks, Leggett, Moscow. Second storm, capable of producing a tornado moving towards the city of New Waverly. Moving northeast, 40 miles an hour. This thunderstorm, in the which way the wind's moving department, looking a little less impressive now. We don't have that super strong inbound wind signature, the reds we had about 15 minutes ago. But these storms... moving northeast. Again. So that's storm number 2, now probably near or east of FM 149. moving towards Shovelfield Lake. And yeah, you can see this second storm here. We've lost that impressive low-level hook, that appendage we had. I think what's going on right now is this storm is actually ingesting another storm, so storm scale interference. We'll have to see if that continues to result in a weakening of the circulation or if the circulation re-intensifies. Now, storm number 1. Oakhurst and Point Blank, this thing's gotten tighter than a tick's behind again. Notice we've got very strong low-level velocity signatures again. Let me see if I can't update the de-aliasing here. So again, this is where velocity folding occurs, but at this point we've got winds moving away from the radar at almost 75 miles an hour. Winds moving towards the radar at about 30 miles an hour. So right here we've now got a 100. Yes, I know, my drawing skills are about as legible as a 5-year-old's. New tornado warning coming in. And there we go with that. So again, this thing could easily be down. No debris signatures right now, but boy, let me tell you, this thing is problematic. That is a very strong signature indicative that we could easily have a tornado. All right, this is going to be a new tornado warning now for southern Trinity, northwestern San Jacinto, western Polk, and eastern Walker counties until 10:30 a.m. At 10:02, a tornado-producing storm was located near Point Blank, 13 miles east of Huntsville, moving east at 35 miles an hour. This storm has a history of producing spin-up tornadoes. This will be near Point Blank in 5 minutes, 10:10, Onalaska, 10:15. Lake Livingston, same time frame. Those of you in Point Blank, Stephen Creek, Onalaska, Lake Livingston, West Livingston, the city of Livingston are in this new tornado warning. Tornado warning means you need to take action to protect your life. That'll be lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. All right, we did this back in April 2020. We were here covering that. We're here covering this. I want to make abundantly clear, we do not have confirmed reports of a tornado at this time, but the velocity signature is extremely concerning in that this could easily be producing a tornado right now. And remember, we're only going to hear about damage reports after the fact. That's just to confirm something's happened. They don't necessarily help in real time by telling us, hey, there's a tornado down here right now. We hear about them after the fact, delayed, usually by, best case scenario, we're going to hear about it in 10 minutes. Best case scenario is nothing happens at all, but, those reports are delayed. At this point, this is quite a concerning velocity signature. On the how hard it's raining mode, you can see that hook appendage. That's your rear flank downdraft kicking out. It's your inflow notch. You've got warm, unstable air being ingested into the parent mesocyclone of this supercell. And then on the which way the wind's blowing mode, you can see this thing is moving east. You can see the very strong low-level velocity signature just updated there. We've got winds moving away from the radar down in League City, about 46. Winds moving towards the radar at about 30 on this product, so a little weaker than last scan. And no signs of a tornado debris signature. We'll switch to that product real quick, and I'll show you. We'll be looking for a blue donut here. Notice we've got a lot of red. We've got red, essentially, which means, rain, hail. We're looking for a circular, essentially, I call it a blue donut because it's surrounded by a sea of red. We'd be looking for that signature right in this hook. This is where we'd expect to see tornado debris. We don't have that signature, but we're also at a disadvantage here of looking at almost 8,000 feet above the ground. If we see debris being lofted to 8,000 feet above the ground, it's probably going to be a stronger type tornado. And again, by the time we see debris, That's just an indication of, yes, we've had a tornado, and it takes quite a bit of tornado intensity to loft debris up to 8,000 feet. So again, the good news is back near New Waverly, y'all need to be in a safe place, but this storm is looking a lot more outflowy for now, meaning a lot of strong winds being pushed out by the thunderstorm, but not necessarily a significant amount of low-level, well, there you go, latest. We're going to have to, honestly, we're just going to have to watch it. It looked less impressive the last few minutes, but we're starting to see that little appendage again. We're looking the mid-levels of the storm, so it's not the super best way to get a detailed look at the velocity. The storms are rotating. I mean, out of concern, the worst that could happen here, or the best case scenario, pick one. I'm dyslexic. Pick one. New Waverly, you're in shelter for a little while, nothing happens. I'm sorry, you wasted some time. It sure beats being outside of a tornado. Or outside a tornado. Now up here, Lake Livingston, Point Blank, and Oakhurst, this thing continues to show strong indications of low-level rotation, the potential for a tornado. So if you're in Oakhurst, Point Blank, Stephen Creek, you need to be in a safe place. That'll be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Same thing goes if you are on Lake Livingston, Onalaska, West Livingston, and Livingston. You need to be in a safe place. Point Blank, Stephen Creek, Onalaska, Lake Livingston, West Livingston, City of Livingston. You need to be in a safe place. New Willard, Leggett, Seven Oaks, to Moscow, Camden, areas south of Corrigan, west of Chester. This is your opportunity where if you live in a trailer, a mobile home, you need to move to a safe place, a site-built structure, or just get out of the way. You've got some time to do that, but this is your call to action for those folks who need some extra time to enact their safety plan that involves them moving to a safe place. This is your call if you're in Moscow, Seven Oaks, New Willard, Camden, areas southwest of Chester. There on FM 942 down to Livingston. If you're in Onalaska, Lake Livingston, Point Blank, Stephen Creek, you have much less time. You need to be in a safe place immediately, as this dangerous thunderstorm, capable of producing a tornado, is about to move over the north sides of Lake Livingston, Point Blank, to Stephen Creek. You can see very well-defined supercell here. This is your hail core. This, your rear flank downdraft, your hook. Warm, unstable air being ingested into the supercell right there. Switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. You can see that based on the velocity data. Colors in the red, that's going to be moving away from the radar down in Lake City. Colors in green, winds moving towards. Here's your mesocyclone. We're looking at about 8,000 feet above the surface here, so not the best look. The low-level circulation may be offset by a couple of miles, but definitely the potential for some issues here with this thunderstorm as it continues to move east towards Point Blank, Stephen Creek, Onalaska, Lake Livingston, West Livingston. You need to be in a safe place. We'll zoom out, make sure we're not missing anything. In fact, here, I'll just click the super-duper awesome button that takes us to the state view. I realize we have a lot of cities on here. Let me see if I can't clean it up real quick. And yes, we do have a winter storm underway across the Panhandle, West Texas, into Northwest Texas, where we've got snow falling. North winds up to 40. All of that fun stuff. It is nasty sauce. That rain snow line will move towards Wichita Falls this morning. Severe weather-wise, you can see we are dealing with storms here in southeast Texas. The Houston Metro, you've got nothing to your south and west right now. The only issues we're dealing with are these supercells north of Houston. You can see the supercell we were dealing with near Brenham has dissipated. It went bye-bye faster than my hairline. We've got two supercells capable of producing tornadoes. One approaching Lake Livingston, Point Blank, Stephen Creek. Second approaching New Waverly, passing north of Willis, Interstate 45 in the next 10 minutes. By the way, for whatever it's worth, whichever one of you buffoons thought it was a good idea to share a fake tornado picture or a fake tornado picture from last August, shame on you. I think it was from a supposed storm chaser, but that's why you always got to verify your sources, which is why we didn't show it. All right, looks like the Weather Service is going to let the storm near New Waverly go in terms of a tornado warning and replace that with a severe thunderstorm warning. Thank you to Chelsea Burnett for researching that and making sure that it was a legitimate tornado image. It was from last August. But guess what? I don't really care about last August right now. All right, so assuming we don't get a new tornado warning extension from the storm near New Waverly, which, I mean, I'll be honest, it looked like doggy doo-doo 5 minutes ago. We are definitely starting to see more of an interesting shape here. Notice this hook appendage? So, yeah, we might have an issue with that again here shortly. It's trending up. But we'll deal with that as the situation arises. Our most urgent issue for now is definitely going to be with this thunderstorm. Point blank, Onalaska, Stephen Creek, Lake Livingston. So again, if you are in Point Blank, Onalaska, Livingston, Lake Livingston, West Livingston, you need to be in shelter now. This thing's gotten tighter than a tick's behind again. All right, we have been here, done this. We did this with the EF3 tornado that killed people back in 2020 in Onalaska. This storm could have a tornado down with it now in Point Blank, crossing over Highway 156 at Highway 190, about to move over the north sides of Lake Livingston. After it does that, it is going to move over the boat ramps on the east side of Lake Livingston, all of that stuff, and then move towards the city of Livingston. If you were in Moscow, Seven Oaks, New Willard, on Highway 59, you need to begin ready to move to your safe place. You're not under a tornado warning yet, but you're going to be soon. I can tell you that with somewhat utmost certainty at this point. Seven Oaks, Moscow, Camden, New Willard, Livingston. You need to be in a safe place. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Hard sole shoes, etc. All right, we don't want folks getting hurt by going outside looking for this thing and then getting hit by debris. It is entirely plausible, if not probable, this thing is wrapped in heavy rain. So again, if you're in Oakhurst, this is east of you now. Give it 5 more minutes, you'll be clear. If you are in Point Blank, Stephen Creek, Onalaska, it's time. You need to be in a safe place 20 minutes ago, but you better be in a safe place now. Lake Livingston, oh, that is not good. You need to be in a safe place now. We're going to get a new velocity scan in a minute. I get that data a little more quickly on my high-res display I'm looking at over here to the left. I've got a 4K monitor displaying it, showing me roads, stuff like that. So even though I'm looking left, I apologize. Eventually, we'll have more cameras in here to deal with that, but that would also require someone in this room to actually change the cameras for me automatically because, well, I'm not going to do that while we're doing tornado coverage because, believe it or not, it gets a little busy at times in here. So if you're in Point Blank, here you go. We got a problem. Winds moving away from the radar in League City at 60. Winds moving towards the radar at 70. We now have a 130 to 140 mile per hour circulation. I cannot say this enough. If you are on the east shores of Lake Livingston, if you are on West Livingston, Onalaska, or you know anybody down there, you need to give them a call and tell them to get their butt into shelter. At 10:16 a.m., a confirmed tornado was located over Point Blank, or 15 miles west of Livingston, moving east at 35 miles an hour. This is a radar-confirmed tornado. To repeat, a tornado is down. Take cover now. All right? Very, very strong velocity signature with this right now as it moves onto Lake Livingston. It'll be on Lake Livingston for several minutes, and then it's going to come back ashore here on the western or on the eastern shoreline. County Road 2457, Cedar Ridge, all of that. You need to be in a safe place. Again, we're going to have a few minutes where this is over Lake Livingston. Now, what you're looking at here, this is called a bounded weak echo region. Let me turn off the roads on this. This is a bounded weak echo region on radar. That's not a debris ball, a debris hole, etc. That's actually where the winds in the mesocyclone, the circulation, are rotating strong enough. They are pushing the precipitation outwards, centrifugal force. And as that occurs, you can get a return of weak reflectivity, and that's exactly what it looks like. That's called a beware, bounded weak echo region, a very strong area of rotation, essentially using centrifugal force to rotate the precipitation out of the circulation, kind of like think of a toilet bowl, whatever. Water swirls around before it goes down the drain. Same principle here. Very strong rotation now moving over the north sides of Lake Livingston, just east of Point Blank, Onalaska. If you're in Oakhurst, Stephen Creek, you're clear. Point Blank, let's make sure this is actually over the lake before we give you an all clear, but by 1025 you should be clear. Onalaska, this may stay just south of you, may miss that little peninsula there, but it is going to be close, and y'all need to be in a safe place as this moves east at 35 miles an hour. As it moves over the lake, it'll become a water spout. In this case, we're not talking about the difference between, a tornado and a water spout. Water spout, tornado over water. This would not be a water spout in the sense of a summer water spout looking out over the Gulf of Mexico where things are, it's a weak water spout. This would be a tornadic water spout that would it'll going to cause problems if it hits something on the lake. And then as it comes back on shore, it is going to tear things up. This is a supercellular tornadic water spout. And then once it comes on shore, it is back to being a mean, mad, very unhappy tornado. So we want folks to be in a safe place. This is the only tornado warning we're dealing with right now in the state of Texas. All the other storms have weakened to the point where they no longer are capable of producing tornadoes. If we could get rid of this storm and be done with tornado warnings, that'd be great. That being said, we're going to keep watching this storm near New Waverly just in case it ends up becoming problematic in the spinny, doom department. All right, those of you in Onalaska, again, here you go. Circulation capable of producing a tornado as it moves across the north sides of Lake Livingston. That's a bounded weak echo region. It is now over the lake. So if you're in Point Blank, in all likelihood, it's still too close to call, really. The radar beam we're looking at is about 8,000 feet above the ground here. Thunderstorms like this, where we have strong wind shear, are often tilted from west to east. So at 8,000 feet, the circulation may be over the lake, but as you go back down to the surface, and in this case with the radar being down in League City, the circulation at the surface could be a couple miles further west and still on land in Point Blank. But regardless, folks in Point Blank, stay in shelter for a few more minutes until we're sure this is out over the lake. Then you can go outside, look east, and look at it if you want. Onalaska, you need to be in a safe place. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Same thing applies if you're in Livingston, West Livingston. If you are on the eastern shore of Lake Livingston, you need to be in a safe place. The lowest floor, center room, away from windows. And that is one impressive bounded weak echo region. Again, that's where you have this thunderstorms, mesocyclone, the area of rotation aloft, rotating the precipitation outside of the circulation. That is a bounded weak echo region. And if you guys really want, let us know if you want us to do a video on this, explaining this in more detail at some point. I'm sure one of our meteorologists would love to do that down the road. But again, circulation now likely over the northern portions of Lake Livingston, moving towards the Onalaska Peninsula there. And I'll highlight what I'm talking about this. Now, come on, radar, really? Let me actually draw on here without things being difficult. Thank you. We're going to do this. When I say Onalaska, this is what I'm concerned about. This peninsula right there. All these little black dots, these are streets. So I realize I'm not drawing the actual lakeshore here very well. This is where I'm concerned about this. That's a tornado, probably, or a waterspout over the lake. When it moves back on shore, do not underestimate it, thinking it's just a waterspout. It's not going to do much. In this case, if it's a tornadic waterspout, it's going to launch your boat halfway to Huntsville, Alabama. So we want folks in Onalaska to be in a safe place. We want folks in West Livingston to be in a safe place. Assuming this continues on its present trajectory, it is going to likely stay north of the city of Livingston. This does pose a direct threat to Seven Oaks, New Willard, Moscow on Highway 59, and Camden, which is west of Chester there on this map on Farm to Market 62. In fact, while we're thinking about it, I'm going to go ahead and start marking roads out ahead of this just so we can get ahead of it. I'm going to try to get some roads on here. You've got Highway 59. Again, I'm just putting roads on this for the sake of being able to track this while this is sitting over the lake, and we have a minute. I'm probably going to have to get up and let the dog out of this room. So give me just a second. Apologies, but if I don't let the dog out of the room, the dog's going to get very unhappy with the world. All right. It's 10:24 a.m. The 11th of February 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer. We've got a probable tornado now over the north sides of Lake Livingston, about to make landfall and move onshore near Onalaska, and then on the eastern northeastern sides of Lake Livingston. You can see this thing's got more attitude than me after I've had a couple cups of coffee. Very strong velocity signature indicating the potential, if not a likelihood, of a, well, at this point, waterspout, and then a tornado. This is moving east at 35 miles per hour. So let's do this. I haven't done this yet today because I've been a moron in that regard, but let's put a storm track on this. I'm going to put it with the velocity signature. There you go. There's the latest scan. And notice we're going to give it more room than that. Notice we give this a lot of room. That's because these circulations don't always travel linearly. They can travel in erratic motions. Again, those of you in Onalaska, east shore of Lake Livingston, urgent call to action, be in shelter now. Now, we're doing more than that here. Let's do this. Moving east. 35 miles an hour. Seven Oaks, 1045. New Willard, 1045. Moscow, 1045 to 1050. Chester, 1115. That would put this in Camden at 11 a.m. This thunderstorm has a history of producing tornadoes. The potential for it to produce additional tornadoes as it moves back onshore from Lake Livingston into areas of West Livingston, New Willard eventually, and Seven Oaks. All right, we've got a new tornado warning. I assume it's going to be for this. And is. So here's the tornado warning, folks. We've been telling you. Seven Oaks, we gave you an early heads up. We gave you all 45 minutes of notice ahead of this. Moscow, Seven Oaks, New Willard, Camden, south of Corrigan, just north of Livingston. You need to be in a safe place with a a tornado warning now until 11 a.m. At 10:26 a.m., a possible tornado was located near Onalaska, 10 miles northwest of Livingston, moving east-northeast at 35 miles an hour. This will be near Seven Oaks at 10:40 a.m. Seven Oaks on Highway 59 around 10:40 a.m. The San Jacinto County Sheriff's Office is reporting power lines down near Onalaska. So again, that does verify that we at least have something going on here with the San Jacinto County Sheriff's Office reporting down power lines in Onalaska. This area of circulation moving east at about 35 miles an hour. Back on shore from Lake Livingston, a direct threat to Seven Oaks, New Willard, Moscow. There's your velocity signature. That is the radar's way of detecting winds. Let me clean this up a little bit. You've got pink, red, green moving away from the radar, green moving towards. So again, we've got reports of power lines down in Onalaska now from the San Jacinto Sheriff's Office. We've got a strong area of rotation, a possible tornado moving back onshore from Lake Livingston near Highway 190, farm to market 3126. From near Onalaska, moving east. This will stay north of the city of Livingston, moving east towards New Willard, Leggett, Seven Oaks, Moscow, and eventually Camden. We're going to put some more roads on here, and again, unfortunately, we're pretty familiar with this area after 2020, but we're here for you, just like we were here back then. Sandy Dale Lane, C.M. Hardy Lane, and again, Palomento Road, Fagan Farm Road. I'm just putting roads on here so we can have references. Freeman Road. Eventually, we'll be dealing with Red Hollow. Etc. So we are down to one supercell capable of producing a tornado. Storm now near New Waverly, moving east up 150 towards Point Blank and Cold Spring, has the potential for hail, but is not showing strong low-level rotation. This storm near Onalaska does, and we note the Storm Prediction Center just actually upgraded to a level 3 out of 5 risk across the piney woods of East Texas, the Golden Triangle. We'll show that later, but the new severe weather outlook just upgraded that and increased the tornado probabilities and hail probabilities, mostly along and east of these storms, all the way to Mississippi. We can talk about that later. But again, we may be dealing with these storms in one sense or another until they are out of the state and into Louisiana. All right, so it is 10:31. I'm David Reimer at the Texas Storm Chasers. We've got a tornado warning now. East sides of Lake Livingston near Onalaska, moving towards New Willard, Seven Oaks, Moscow. This possible tornado should remain north of the city of Livingston proper, north of Highway 190, but will pose a threat to areas north of 190, all the way up towards Seven Oaks, New Willard, Moscow, Camden, eventually Chester. A thunderstorm with a history of producing brief tornadoes just moved over Lake Livingston. We've got a report of down power lines in Onalaska. Not sure if that is from a tornado, rear flank downdraft from winds on the backside of the thunderstorm, or just a microburst, but we got wind damage there. And we've also got, again, possibility of some large hail. You can see the latest scan coming in there. We'll let the velocity scan update. What we're looking at here is the which way the wind's blowing mode. Unfortunately, we are looking at about 8,500 feet above the surface, so we're not getting the greatest look at this in terms of exactly where it is in the low levels, how strong the rotation is in the low levels, and all of that. Unfortunately, we don't have that ability here with a radar, the closest radar 80-90 miles away down in Lake City, south side of Houston, but we can at least see we have a strong or a thunderstorm in strong rotation, and this thunderstorm is moving east at about 35 miles an hour towards New Willard, Seven Oaks, Moscow. Looks like, based on the current data, this will be near Seven Oaks probably by 10:40, maybe 10:45, as it moves east towards Highway 59. We'd advise no travel on Highway 59 between Livingston and Corrigan, as this thunderstorm, with the potential for golf ball size hail, strong winds, heavy rain, and a tornado, continues to move east-northeast at 35 miles an hour. This is the only tornado warning we have in the state of Texas at this point. We've got some other strong storms. We note this storm near Hemp Hill. Don't tell me the POE radar is down. Oh, good grief. What is with all these radars not working? My goodness. I feel bad for the folks in Louisiana. They're going to have really bad low-level radar coverage later. We'll switch to the Shreveport radar. You can see this thunderstorm east of Hemp Hill. No signs of low-level rotation, but is showing indications of hail. That'll be moving out of the state shortly into Louisiana, east of Millam, towards Neglect and Many, Louisiana. Only storm we've got an issue with in the tornado department right now is this thunderstorm east of Onalaska, north of Livingston, east of Lake Livingston, moving towards Seven Oaks, New Willard, and Moscow. At this point, storm back southwest of it, southwest of Point Blank, west of Cold Spring on Highway 150, east of New Waverly, could have some quarter to ping pong ball size hail. It is also moving northeast at about 35 miles per hour. This thunderstorm now east of Onalaska, north of Livingston, moving towards Seven Oaks and New Willard, Moscow, showing indications of strong low-level rotation. Back to the which way the wind's blowing mode, you can see that there. We're looking about 8,000 feet above the surface, so we're not getting the greatest view of this circulation, but nevertheless, strong rotation. The storm did produce a brief spin-up tornado earlier, I believe near, I'm going to make sure, near Richards. That was about hour 30 minutes ago, so 90 minutes ago. And this thunderstorm continues to move east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. The potential for strong winds, hail, heavy rainfall, and a tornado. So if you are in Seven Oaks, New Willard, Moscow, north of Livingston, east of Onalaska, you need to be in a safe place. That'll be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Hard sole shoes, helmet, no mobile homes, no trailers, no vehicles. Get to a site-built structure or get out of the way. I'm just checking some data. We'll turn the chat version back on. So what I'm doing right now is I'm doing some housekeeping. All right, let's get back to it. So one of the disadvantages we're dealing with is closest radar beam is down in Lake City, which means using this data, we are looking almost now 90 miles or away from the storm, almost 9,000 feet above the surface. We're looking at the mid-levels of this thunderstorm. That doesn't give us a super great look at the low levels of these storms, but it does allow at least us to be able to tell if these are in rotation aloft, and yeah, this thing remains in rotation. There is no tornadic debris signature, which means we're not seeing debris being lofted 9,000 feet above the ground. If we had debris being lofted 9,000 feet above the ground, we would definitely have a problem, because that would probably be a stronger tornado. This storm definitely remains capable of producing a tornado as it moves east-northeast at about 35 miles an hour. This thunderstorm is now east of Highway 190. If you're in Onalaska, Lake Livingston, Point Blank, Stephen Creek, you are clear from a tornado issue. You've got another thunderstorm from the southwest that might have some strong winds, some hail, but no tornado. The only thunderstorm in the state of Texas currently capable... See if I can't get this mic to do this. The only thunderstorm currently capable of producing a tornado in the state of Texas right now is this thunderstorm. That's about 4 miles west of New Willard, coming up on New Willard, Moscow, Seven Oaks. We know quite a bit of cloud-to-ground lightning is occurring with this thunderstorm right now, which does indicate the potential that the updraft is intensifying. Kenneth, thank you. That's what I was hoping to hear. We heard some power line down reports from the sheriff's office in Onalaska, but radar indicated the circulation probably was over the lake at the time, which is good. And yeah, we were here covering the April 22nd, 2020 tornado too, which is why we're more intimately familiar with this area than we would prefer to otherwise be in terms of us knowing these areas from severe weather coverage. So if you're in New Willard, Seven Oaks, Moscow, you need to be in a safe place. If you are north of Livingston, Corrigan, south of Corrigan, you need to be in a safe place. You can see the latest scan there, the velocity data. We're seeing a strong inbound signature. Winds moving into the thunderstorm about 60, winds moving away at about 30 to 40, so we've got about 90 to 100 mile an hour gate-to-gate shear. Just to the immediate south on 190. We're not seeing any indications right now of a circulation farther south. This storm near Cold Spring, west of Cold Spring, all this activity seems much less organized. We've got some small hail, maybe some quarter-size hail from Point Blank down to Cold Spring, but at this point, the only storm we're concerned about for a tornado is this thunderstorm near Seven Oaks. And again, we're looking about 9,000 feet above the surface. One reason we were able to tell you back on the 22nd of April 2020 about the tornado in more specificality was that it was extremely strong. We had a tornado debris signature through 20,000 feet above the ground. We had, a velocity couplet at times approaching 200 miles an hour on radar. On this screen, that would look bright pink against bright green with a big blue donut there on the tornado debris tracker. In fact, our coverage from that is on the YouTube channel. You could still go back and watch. But in this case, we don't have a tornado debris signature, thankfully, because if we had one, that would indicate a strong tornado since we'd be looking 9,000 feet above the ground. In addition, we continue to deal with a strong circulation. Yeah, it's strong, but it's not, April 22nd, 2020 strong. And at this point, we don't have any ground reports, which of a tornado down. We've got reports that Onalaska didn't get hit by a tornado, which is always good. But this storm could definitely be putting down brief tornadoes at times that can cause damage, knock down trees, damage structures, etc. So we want folks to be in a safe place. That'll be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We'll go back through here, try to get some roads on here again. Forgan Farm Road, Palmetto Road, Padigo Road, June Marsh Road, of course, Highway 59. You've got Loop 116 on the west side of New Willard, Seven Oaks, Moscow. This may stay just south of Moscow, more of an issue for Seven Oaks, and Leggett, FM 942. You got Upper Leggett Road. Eventually, Pine Ridge Cemetery Road, Beard Crossing. I'm just trying to put some roads on here. So again, what we're looking at right now is the which way the wind's blowing mode. At 10:43 a.m., a possible tornado was located near Seven Oaks, or 8 miles north of Livingston, moving east at 35 miles an hour. Good news is, for those of you in Livingston, that tornado warning polygon has been trimmed. If you're in the city of Livingston, this is going to stay to your north. You are clear. If you are in Leggett, New Willard, Seven Oaks, Moscow, to Camden, you need to take your tornado safety precautions. That'll be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. And again, you can see the velocity signature remains well organized. It definitely ticked up a bit in the intensity scan on that latest scan. Intensity scan, okay, let's rephrase that. I need more coffee. The intensity of the organization increased on this last scan. Back over to the how hard a training mode, you can see we're dealing with a well-organized supercell here. It doesn't have that classic wraparound hook, but we're also looking 9,000 feet above the ground. Typically, that would be more of a low-level signature. You can see here we've still got warm, unstable air being ingested into the thunderstorm. We've got a hail core back west of Seven Oaks. This is your rear flank downdraft. A lot of rain, wind, hail on the backside of the circulation. Even if we don't have a tornado down, we do likely have strong straight-line winds occurring. We had a report of down power lines in Onalaska from the San Jacinto Sheriff's Office, and that was likely caused by strong winds on the exterior of the circulation. So, with that in mind, we want folks to be in a safe place. Even if there's not a tornado, strong winds capable of causing damage, knocking down trees, etc. Now, real quick, we'll zoom out. We'll take a look at the latest severe weather outlook. I don't usually show the outlooks too often once we're into an event because, frankly, at that point, I'm more focused on what's going on in real time than the forecast for down the road. We're kind of past that point usually, but we could take a gander at it. See if it's in, and you can see here's the latest severe weather outlook. Now I haven't updated this upper third yet to the new color scheme we're using for this year. We changed it to be more friendly to those who may be colorblind and also to just better convey the sense of a hazard in a single color scheme, but you get the general idea. We've got the highest risk level for severe weather outlined in this orange shading, north sides of the Houston metro, back east. I don't know why the city label's turned off, but we'll try that again. In Louisiana. Another way to look at it is the tornado outlook, and you can see this medium risk was actually just introduced in the latest outlook a few minutes ago. This does include the piney woods of East Texas, the northern Golden Triangle, all the way through Louisiana into central Mississippi. In terms of our issues, we're going to probably be done with this in the next few hours. There's a chance, a bit small, that we could see some redevelopment this afternoon across the Golden Triangle, the far upper Texas coast, but hopefully this is going to be something we're done with in the next few hours, and I really don't think we're going to be dealing with issues by the time it's Super Bowl time. I'll be honest, I don't even know what time the Super Bowl starts. That's how much I care about it. But considering I think we're having a Super Bowl watch party, I probably do need to know about that. So, hey Siri, what time's the Super Bowl start? Okay, 5:30 Central. Good to know. Yeah, we should be done with that by then. Okay, so here's the latest velocity data. Now, this blue thingy here, that is likely what we call range folding, but the circulation's trending upwards, and that's not good. We note the low-level wind field, well, I should say as low level as you can get here, we're seeing these increase. So the potential for a tornado may be increasing near Seven Oaks and Moscow. So we want folks in Seven Oaks and Moscow to be in a safe place, to the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. This is going to be approaching Highway 59 now, likely near Seven Oaks, south of Moscow, south of Parrott Road and Rock Island Road, probably near or a bit north of Upper Leggett Road, probably north of FM 942. This is making a beeline for Seven Oaks, Moscow, Camden, eventually Chester. And again, the velocity signature is trending upwards. It is intensifying, which indicates the increasing potential for a tornado to develop at any time. We're looking about 9,000 feet above the ground here, so we're not getting the greatest low-level view. And for what it's worth, the hail indications are increasing as well. Should this continue, this storm could be a threat. I mean, honestly, if it continues the way it's going, this thing may be a threat until it gets into the state of Louisiana, which means Highway 69, Highway 96, Highway 87, all the way downstream of this, we're going to need to watch. Over the next couple of hours. So those of you in Seven Oaks, we want you to be in a safe place about 45 minutes ago. I mean, go back at the little timestamp here if you're watching live, or, you know, in the land of video, you're watching 5 years from now. You can go back however long, 45 minutes, and be like, I was calling these folks out ahead of time. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and start doing that here. Camden, Chester, Rockland. Oh, I'm going to have to pronounce this. Comesnel. All the way out here. We want folks to start, if you live in a trailer, mobile home, vehicle, Highway 69 north of Woodville up to Zavala, Highway 287 near Chester. We want you all to start moving to a safe place if you live in a trailer, mobile home, vehicle. This is where, if y'all need some extra time to get ready, this is the time you need to start doing that, to either move to a site-built structure, safe place, or just get out of the way. All right, we're going to have a new tornado warning. This is going to include Camden. And what you're going to see here in a minute is the border of National Weather Service offices. This new warning will be issued for Houston, from the Houston office. Areas further east are the National Weather Service offices in Lake Charles and Shreveport, so they'll have to issue their own warning. But you're seeing indications here again of a bounded weak echo region, where we're seeing the winds aloft and the rotating mesocyclone of this thunderstorm pushing the precipitation out away from the circulation, centrifugal force. Looking at which way the wind's blowing mode, you can see that there. You've got winds moving towards the radar in green in Houston, moving away here in pink. You can see this has become much stronger of a circulation again. Winds 65, 70 miles an hour moving away, moving towards 40, 50, even at times 60. So again, we don't have super great low-level radar coverage here. We don't have indications of tornado debris being lofted, but if we did, we'd have a problem, because we'd be looking 9,000 to 10,000 feet above the surface. And if you get tornado debris that high, it is usually indicative of a EF2 plus tornado. And we don't want that kind of a tornado. We dealt with the EF3 from Onalaska over to Seven Oaks back on the 22nd of April, 2020. I don't think we have that happening here, but we do have a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado. Yeah, you can open that a little. As this thunderstorm continues to move east. So, we'll read the new warning. At 10:49 a.m., a thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado is located near Seven Oaks, 9 miles north of Livingston, moving east at 35 miles an hour for central Polk County. Has tornado warnings through 11:15 a.m. We're probably going to have a tornado warning issued downstream here into Chester, Rockland, Cozumel, north of Woodville here in Tyler County sooner rather than later, and I would advise y'all to go ahead and be ready for that warning. Oh, it's raining outside. How nice. Hi, Dak. Switch back over to the how hard it's raining mode. You can see we have one tornado warning in the state. In fact, that's the only severe weather warning. Well, that's something you don't want to see. Latest scan here. Now, some of this is going to be range folding, or the radar unable to determine. When the velocities get strong, sometimes we get what's called range folding, where you get beams like this. Notice how that just goes holy moly guacamole. Then you get the purple haze. That may be what's going on here, but it may not be. If it's not, we got a problem because that is extremely strong rotation. Winds moving away from the radar at League City about 70. Winds moving towards at about 65, if this is correct. If it's range folding, it's not going to be that strong. But if it is, we've got a 140 mile an hour couplet, and we got a problem. If that ends up actually being legitimate, we might see a tornado debris signature because that would indicate a pretty high potential for a tornado. We'll have to keep an eye out on it. That's where we would be looking for a blue donut. We're not getting that blue donut right now, and I realized that little signature there looks a little suspicious. But again, we would need to see something a little more definitive than that. We might, if we get it next scan, we'll know. But we'll see. So those of you in Seven Oaks and Moscow, this is crossing over Highway 59 right now between Moscow and Seven Oaks, generally speaking, moving northeast towards Camden. This will be crossing over Monroe Hill, Pine Ridge Cemetery Road, making its way towards FM 942 to the east. We'll get a new velocity scan here in just a second. But again, that's definitely a concern. And we want folks from Seven Oaks and Moscow to Chester, Camden to move to a safe place. If you are in Corrigan, this tornado is going to stay south of you. You're clear. If you're in Livingston, this is going to stay to your north. You're clear. Comesnel. Hold on. Steven? Come over here and look at this real quick and tell me how to pronounce that. Third message. Fourth message.
Oh.
Comesnel? Comesnel?
Omesnel.
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 Okay, Omesnel. All right. I grew up with speech impediment, so it's not that it's not that it's a difficult town to pronounce. It's just that it's one of the towns I don't pronounce very well. For example, until I was about 10 or 11, whatever, fifth grade, I would say R's is W, so Wobbert instead of Robert. So, Comus nil.
Comus nil?
Comus N-E-L. Combs Neal. The S is silent. Okay. Well, thank you, y'all. You can make fun of me for not knowing how to say it, by the way, but I appreciate it. Trust me, I have mispronounced so many town names over the years, it is not funny. I've got a list, somewhere I've got a list of the ones I usually would mispronounce, like Uvalde. B-E-A-R-N-E, I'd say. I know it's Bernie, but yeah. Yeah, back near Richards at 905. So this storm moving towards Rockland, Chester, north of Woodville. This will stay north of Woodville. And again, there's a new tornado warning. That's from Lake Charles, I believe. That'll be it for northwestern Tyler County, which means my computer's going to squeal. There we go. Severe thunderstorm moving northeast at 35 miles an hour near Seven Oaks, 12 miles east of Chester. This storm will be near, or 12 miles east of Chester, 12 miles west of Chester. And this is moving towards Camden, Chester, Cosman, etc. This is now east of 59, east of Seven Oaks. If you're on 59 at Seven Oaks, it's east of you. If you're on 59 in Moscow, it's east of you. Cosmos. Hold on. We're just going to play Trey's message. Cosmos. Comus Neal. Okay, there we go. Comus Neal. Yeah, that's a tough one for me to pronounce for some reason. Sometimes it just get that way. Yeah, that town over there, but Comus Neal. So again, this is going to be a tornado warning from just east of New Willard, just east of Seven Oaks, just east of Moscow to Camden, Chester, Comus Neal, areas north of Woodland to almost Rockland. This is not a confirmed tornado. This is a radar-indicated tornado. Latest scan actually isn't too bad looking. Velocity data has weakened a little bit, and notice the latest scan, this almost looks more like a line segment than a big hook echo. It's just one scan, we'll see, but we'll see what's going to happen. This is the only severe thunderstorm or tornado warning we have in the state of Texas right now. And again, this is east of Interstate 45, still west of 96, still west of 69. Look at some data. For what it's worth, we'll go back to the state view. We have a minute. Yeah, we got a full-on winter storm ongoing. The Panhandle, West Texas. Rain-snow line starting to progress east down 287 to Quanah, just west of Vernon. You can see out here we've got heavy snow. It's a heavy wet snow. North winds at 30 to 40. Roads may be mostly just wet for now, but whatever happens now, as temperatures fall into the teens and 20s tonight after the snow stops falling, any wet roads, slushy roads, snow-packed roads are going to turn into slicky doom. It's going to get slicker than snot. So, I would not want to have to be dealing with that later, driving. But for now, we'll go back to radar data. It's a little more appendagey on this latest scan one scan it looked a little less, it looked like a line segment, but here you can see that appendage again. Here's your inflow notch, your rear flank downdraft, west of Chester, now east of 59, east of Seven Oaks, east of Moscow, very near the community, the old logging town of Camden. This will be crossing over Farm to Market 942 southwest of Chester in the next several minutes, and then crossing over 287 near Chester. Back to the velocity mode. Let me switch and see if we can get a different view. The purple haze is something I can't control, but let's see if I can't do something with the de-aliasing here. If I have to, I'll literally just switch to a camera view. Here, let's try this real quick. I'm going to show you. I'm just going to use my super camera here. Zoom in. Oh, stop it. Oh, I broke the camera. There we go.
There's a ceiling there.
Yeah, there is a ceiling there. This is going to probably get this angry. Now, I know that looks like utter garbage on the resolution, but here you can see what it looked like last scan. This area of rotation, east of Seven Oaks, east of Moscow, near Camden. That's where you're looking, by the way. I realized the camera angle itself did not enjoy that, but here you go. It is 11:03 on this Sunday, the 11th of February, 2024. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Building in Chief David Reimer. There's a little behind-the-scenes look of what it looks like in my happy land. Thank you, Brian. Looks like the tornado watch is being dropped west of Interstate 45 in southeast Texas, so that is good news. It continues across southeast Texas, east of Interstate 45, east into the Golden Triangle, and east into the Piney Woods. We are here because of a tornado warning, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado now in northeastern Polk County. This is in southeast Texas. I'll zoom out a bit. You can see this is east of Huntsville, well north of Interstate 10, south of Lufkin, southwest of Hemphill, due west of Jasper. And again, this is moving east at about 30 to 35 miles per hour. Circulation, if we had a tornado down, would be near Camden, southeast of Corrigan, west of Chester, approaching Highway 287, and Farm to Market 1745, FM 942. We have not had any ground reports recently. The last report we had was some downed power lines near Onalaska, but that was likely from thunderstorm winds versus tornadic winds. Velocity-wise, we just honestly, we don't have a great view. This is in a radar hole. We'll turn on a product here that lets us measure. We're looking over 10,000 feet above the surface now. We do not have a good look in the low levels of the storm. We have a radar hole. The closest radar that this is moving towards is the Fort Polk, Louisiana radar, east of Leesville, but that radar is offline, which means outside of that, the closest radar we have would be Lake Charles, Louisiana, or Shreveport, Louisiana. And actually, for my own, it might actually almost be closer to Lake Charles soon. Yeah, it'll be closer to Lake Charles radar soon, so we'll switch to Lake Charles radar here in a minute. I'm going to look and see if I can find out why the Fort Polk radar is down and if it's actually going to be coming back up. Actually, they say it is up. Is it just a level 2 data outage? Sorry, I'm doing my own little thing at the moment. Okay, I'm not getting level 2 data. on the Fort Polk radar. Let me see if I'm getting level 3. No? Okay. The Fort Polk radar has been down for 13 days, so it must be undergoing one of their in-light or in-service life upgrades. That's an unfortunate time not to have that radar, but all right, let's switch to Lake Charles radar now. It's almost closer. It might give us a better look at what's actually going on. It's going to look a little different than it did from the Houston radar, but we might get a better velocity view. And oh yeah, that is a heck of a lot better. Notice no more purple haze. Now we can actually see what's going on a wee bit. So that is more helpful. A circulation approaching Camden, the old mining town. Then after that, we're going to be approaching Chester. Now that we're looking from a different radar, we're looking from the southeast versus the southwest. You can see our supercell thunderstorm here. You got your hail core on 287, quarter to golf ball size hail, probably falling on 287 between Chester and Corrigan. If we had a tornado, it'd be near the old logging town of Camden. Your circulation there, but again, we're not looking to low levels. We're not seeing what's going on in the lowest few thousand feet here. We're looking 11,000 feet above the surface, which is not ideal in any way, shape, or form for diagnosing low-level rotation or low-level storm features. All we're doing here is, just seeing that the storm's rotating. I wouldn't expect to see a debris signature with that velocity couplet. If we did have something like a stronger tornado, like that's down for a longer period of time, yeah, we'd probably see it even up to 11,000 feet. But at this point, if we're talking about a tornado that might just be hopscotching around or a brief tornado, we're probably not going to see a tornado debris signature at this height. But at least we could see the mid-level mesocyclone. And this thunderstorm approaching Highway 287 now, northeast of Camden, near FM 62 and Highway 287, right there. And while we have a second, I do want to thank everybody who's been sending in stars, super chats, stickers. We're streaming on 5 or 6 social media platforms, plus our website mobile app. We do appreciate those. We do try to acknowledge them after the fact. But during severe weather coverage, typically we are a little busy. Colmus deal. So again, this tornado warning does include Chester, Colmus Neal. Thank you, Trey. That's from lead meteorologist Trey Greenwood, who knows how to pronounce and also has quite a radio voice. And this circulation approaching Highway 287 and FM 62 in eastern portions of Polk County, moving into northwestern Tyler County. Oh, Trey, you've got better things to do than watch me this morning. Actually, I guess if we're having I might see you later today, for all I know, actually, now that I think about it. Hi, Steven. How's life? It goes. Apparently, Trey's watching me. I told him he has better things to do this morning. Then I realized I might just see him in a few hours. Yeah, you'll see Trey in a couple hours. Hi, Trey. Don't forget the snacks. Like I said, it probably would be a good thing for me to know what time the Super Bowl was, since we're having 5 p.m. starts coverage. But you know what the most important thing is? Exactly. It's Coleman's Neal. It's Coleman's Neal. Have fun. If you fall and slip outside, hi, Cece. Steven! Your dog opened the door again because she's evil. Yeah, I don't care. The dog knows how to open doors, and that's just when bad things happen. He says he won't forget the snacks. He's going to bring plenty of olives. Yes. Okay. And in that world of fun, Colmenial. Leave the S out. He doesn't know. Colmenial. Colmenial. Okay. You leave the S out. Apparently, it's Colmenial. Apparently, you leave the S out. It's Colmenial. It's an interesting little. That's on the back side of that circulation. Sorry, I'm looking at stuff. And this is what happens when you live with a bunch of storm chasers, weather weenies. No wind in Chester. Well, that's good to know. This may stay just west of Chester in terms of the circulation, but it's gonna be close. The circulation itself probably crossing very near Highway or FM 62, maybe just east near. Okay, Highway 287. Looking back at the radar, you can see we're looking about 12,000 feet. Look, we're not looking at the low levels of the storm. I wish I could tell you exactly what was going on at, say, 1,000 feet above the surface in the low levels, but unfortunately, the closest radar we have right now is 100 miles away in Lake Charles, Louisiana. We're looking 11,000 feet above the surface. Remember, the Earth curves. Yes, if you're a flat earther and you're watching this, well, you're watching the wrong channel because this is a science channel, not a nonsense channel. But radar beams go out in a straight line from the big golf ball radomes, which means the further away you get from the radar, the higher up that beam goes because the radar beam goes straight out. The Earth curves. So 100 miles away from the radar, we're looking about 1,000 feet above the ground, where a radar beam being sent up half a degree above, well, the Earth's surface is close to the surface within 40, 50 miles of the radar, but by this point, I mean, it's 11,000 feet. We're looking at the mid levels of the storm. What this thing's doing at 11,000 feet, it probably isn't doing down at, say, the surface, 2,000 feet above the surface. So, that is what you get. And again, I mean, this does not look as impressive as it did earlier. Part of that maybe because we're looking 100 miles away from the closest radar, and 11,000. Okay, that tornado warning you may or may not have heard because noise canceling for the wind. Okay, so that was just an extension on the west side of this tornado warning. I'm not going to worry too much about it. So once this makes it into northwestern northwestern Tyler County from northeastern Polk County, this circulation probably going to pass north of Chester proper. It's going to be kind of over rural areas, honestly. The next community that it may try to visit, which isn't going to really show up on this map because it hates me so much, is probably going to be Rockland, south of Zavala on Highway 69. Rockland is located about there-ish. Oh, dog, you're going to have to pick one, in or out. We're not doing this. Hold on a second. All right, stay now. Now I'm going to use one of these cords I'm not using to tie this door shut. That's what a Roku power cable's meant for, right? And yes, I'm wearing pajama pants with a dress shirt. the luxury of being able to sit in an office chair and not actually have to go my legs. Now I don't have to deal with it. There we go. All right. Oh, I mean, honestly, the good news is we have not heard any ground reports of damage recently. We haven't heard any ground reports of a tornado. If we had a tornado, it is now likely northeast of 287, passing probably about 3 miles northwest of Chester, moving to the northeast at 35 miles an hour. This thunderstorm is also capable of producing ping pong ball size hail. Once it is well, at this point, it's north of 287. It's going to stay northwest of FM 1745, it looks like. It is really just going to pass over mostly rural areas between Chester and Rockland, south of Manning, as it continues to move east-northeast at about 35 miles per hour. There are no other severe thunderstorm warnings. In fact, here, I'll just zoom out. What I'll do is I'm going to dump some of these city labels so it's more manageable. Five-inch snow measured in shallow water in Lubbock County in West Texas. Nice. Speaking of snow, let's just go ahead and take a look at that. For what it's worth, yes, this is the only, it's the only severe thunderstorm we have in the state of Texas right now. All the other storms have dissipated. We've got some scattered showers and storms southeast Texas, the Golden Triangle, but nothing severe. The only tornado warning, the only severe weather warning we have, again, is this thunderstorm passing north of Chester now past 287. That makes sense somehow. And this thunderstorm is moving northeast, generally speaking, towards Rockland. It's probably going to pass south of Zavala. And, I mean, if it continues, it eventually, I mean, if we want to talk way down the road, this could be an issue for places like Pineland and Hemphill. Otherwise, you can see the frontal boundary or the outflow boundary moving southeast. If we don't see anything fire south on this boundary soon, Houston Metro, you're not going to get a thing out of this, which would be good for y'all. You can see back northwest, we got low-level clouds back into central Texas, North Texas, and then an area of rain and snow. The Texas Panhandle, West Texas. Put on some information here. You can see we got heavy snow falling across Amarillo, heavier snow from Canyon Happy down I-27 through Tulia, all the way down into Plainview, Lubbock, Tahoka, Rawls on 82 heading east all the way to almost Seymour, the rain-snow line approaching Vernon on 287, snow on 287 likely from Vernon all the way up to Amarillo, and then we've got snow in southwestern Oklahoma, western Oklahoma. Eventually, that rain-snow line will make its way towards the Oklahoma City Metro and Lawton. Snowing in Altus there at the Air Force Base. Eventually, we'll have snow probably all the way down to Wichita Falls this evening, or mixing with snow. We may even have some wet snow mixed in with rain tonight in Texoma, farther east towards Bowie, Gainesville, North Texas, maybe north of 380, with surface temperatures remaining above freezing and thus probably not having any issues with travel out here. But again, severe weather-wise, here's what we've been dealing with over the last few hours. We had tornado warnings back all the way down to Brenham earlier. Those storms have, for all intent and purposes, weakened. We had nasty hailers this morning in East Texas. We had up to baseball-size hail from Tyler east through Longview, Marshall, all the way to the Shreveport Metro. And now we're starting to deal with more discrete supercells back here in Louisiana, and then we've got this severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado passing north of Chester, now moving across rural areas of northwestern Tyler County, eventually passing probably near but closer to Rockland, south of Zavala. It'll then move towards places like Bronson, Pineland on Highway 96, Hemp Hill in Sabine County, eventually being like an hour and a half probably, before it gets into Louisiana, assuming it doesn't weaken like these other storms have. All right, let's get back to it. We'll switch back to the high res. Well, actually, you know what? Let's do this. We'll do the high res radar first. We'll do another update. Then we'll take a look at the high res rapid refresh model to get a gander of what we can expect for the remainder of today and tonight. Here's the latest radar data. You can see rotation does remain, but to be perfectly blunt with you, the storm's looking weaker. The rotation, it is not looking all that strong for being at 11,000 feet. It's not as strong as it was earlier. You can see it almost looks like this storm down near Seven Oaks, which doesn't even have any weather warning. So the rotation with this storm now north of Chester seems to be weakening, but this storm has cycled multiple times this morning and could easily cycle back up and be capable of producing a tornado. A tornado warning remains in effect until 11:30 a.m. for northwestern Tyler County, far northeastern Polk County, entering the piney woods of East Texas. All right, let's take a look at the high-resolution rapid refresh model. I'm going to press some buttons first to clean this up. We'll have to load the data. That'll take a minute or two. We'll press that. We'll press that. We'll press that. There's not going to be anything on your screen for a minute. We're going to press that. We'll head to the statewide view, and I'm going to load this model data. You can see this is what the HER model thinks the radar is going to look like at noon. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to load an animation that goes all the way through, well, let's just do 2 a.m. And as that data loads, I'll have this animation paused. We'll switch real quick to the full screen. Give me just a minute to load the data. Then we'll take a look at the severe weather outlook. All right, here we go, and I'll let this play a few times. You can see this model does try to develop a few stronger storms again later, but generally speaking, we're done by 4 to 5 o'clock across Texas with severe storms. You can see we're expecting areas of scattered showers and storms to continue this afternoon into tonight across Texoma, northeast Texas, the Arklatex. A cold rain, no severe storms with that. You can see our snowstorm will continue across the Texas Panhandle, especially along and south of Interstate 40 into west central Texas, northwest Texas through the late afternoon. Rain mixing with or changing over to snow, perhaps as far east as Wichita Falls, Bowie, St. Joe, Munster, Gainesville by late tonight. Same thing goes for portions of southwestern Oklahoma, southern Oklahoma, maybe to Oklahoma City late this evening. And we have winter storm warnings, winter weather advisories for the Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas, even northern Big Country for this afternoon into tonight. Roads may stay mostly fine in those areas until after sunset. Then we may have an issue as temperatures fall below freezing and things freeze up. Slush example. So that's what we're expecting for the remainder of, well, this afternoon into tonight. Our highest severe weather threat, honestly, may have already passed us by here in Texas. We're down to one severe weather warning. That is for northern Tyler County and the piney woods of East Texas, northeast of Chester. Now, if you're in Chester, you're clear.
Texas. Snow magnitude estimated 6.0 inches. Reported by emergency manager.
Okay, so 6 inches of snow reported in Smyre in the West Texas area. Those are the sound. You probably weren't actually even hearing any of the sounds and stuff until now. I had them muted on the speaker, and the microphone has good noise canceling, but I have a verbal announcer
Texas
voiceover.
local storm report from Levelland in Hockley County, Texas. Snow magnitude estimated 3.0 inches. Reported by emergency manager.
That. Good for maintaining situational awareness. All right, let's get back to the real-time radar. Just to make sure, let's make sure we actually have the closest radar. We're kind of in a radar hole here, unfortunately. The closest radar is
Texas
out
local storm report from Ropesville in Hockley County,
of service.
Texas. Snow magnitude estimated 6.0 inches. Reported by emergency manager.
Nice. All right. So we have a tornado warning now until 11:45 a.m. This is going to be for rural portions of northern Tyler County in the piney woods of East Texas. This storm, generally speaking, has been on a weakening trend the last several minutes and is moving to the northeast towards portions of southeastern Augusta County and eventually St. Augustine County. But it is weakening, which hopefully means we'll be done with this tornado warning soon if it does not re-intensify. As it moves northeast at about 35 miles per hour. Which is good. You might notice I'm finding less things to talk about, which is good. Hopefully that means later this afternoon we can transition over to snow. Meteorologist Jason Cooley is actually about to head out to northwest Texas to document the snow, which means he'll have a live snow chase stream later. And who knows, maybe I'll go do the same. We'll see. But again, I'm hopeful we might be able to be done with this soon. Regardless, a tornado warning does remain in effect until 11:45 a.m. for far northern portions of Tyler County and in the piney woods of East Texas. Now, what I'm going to do...
Texas local storm report from Plainview in Hale County, Texas. Snow magnitude estimated 5.0 inches. Reported by law enforcement.
Yeah, sounds like we've had good 4 to 6 inches of snow out here in West Texas. That 6 inches of snow report, by the way, was here Plainview on I-27. In fact, I'm going to look at a traffic camera and see how it looks out that way. Yeah. Roads are snow-packed. So we were wondering how it was going to do out here with the warmer ground temperatures, if the snow was going to be able to stick to roads. I'll turn on some surface temperatures if it'll let me. You can see temperatures actually have already fallen into the 20s, which is a bit lower than I expected. So yeah, with temperatures in the 20s out here, the snow's going to stick to everything, roads included. So it's slicker than bull snot. It's going to stay slicker than bull snot through the rest of the day into Monday morning, especially when temperatures fall into the teens out here and any slush snow on roads freezes. So Panhandle, West Texas, if roads are bad now, they're not going to get much better until Monday morning, mostly. I mean, the major roads will probably get plowed, but Childress, you can see it's snowing, but it's 34 degrees. Vernon, it's 39. So out here where we have rain changing over to snow because of very cold temperatures aloft, in all likelihood, roads are going to stay just wet for a while. Same thing goes western Oklahoma until you get down to the low 30s, upper 20s. As you can see, we have one severe storm left. It is this storm southwest of Zavala, northeast of Chester. Notice this storm we thought was originally going to go closer to Colmanel, but it turned north, which indicates that honestly, I think this storm lost its ability to stay rooted to the surface boundary layer. I think it may have crossed over a cool front or an outflow boundary. We're showing 60 degrees in Zavala, so I think the threat of a tornado is decreasing here pretty quickly. I don't think, unless something changes, the Weather Service is going to issue a new tornado warning for areas northeast of where this storm is now. I could be wrong. They could easily do it out of an abundance of caution, but I don't know if they're going to. Further southwest, you can see we do have a couple of stronger storms with maybe some small hail. Livingston, Cold Spring, over to Spring. All this activity, some small hail. There is no tornado threat with that. No, at this point, anything considered severe in the sense of quarter-size hail or larger, or damaging wind gusts. But we'll keep an eye on it. But I am hopeful we are about to be done with our long-form tornado coverage now that I think this storm is weakening. We'll watch this little storm east of Seven Oaks. There's some modest rotation with it, but honestly nothing that screams holy moly guacamole. And I think our spinny doom issue with this storm northeast of Chester is rapidly diminishing. This storm looks like it is shriveling up and dying faster than my hairline in the sense of rotation. Now, hail, yeah, we could have some small hail still, gusty winds. That goes for all these storms. But I am hopeful we in the state of Texas are about to be done with this. For now, a tornado watch does continue across the Golden Triangle, the Piney Woods of East Texas, through the mid-afternoon hours. But I think the highest threat for severe weather is starting to shift into Louisiana and eventually Mississippi. I'll turn on the statewide view again. I'll even put satellite on here. I mean, here's satellite plus the radar. You can see that boundary moving southeast, that cloud line. The severe weather threat behind that is done. So, Houston, you probably are going to get through this without issue, unless something changes drastically in the next 45 minutes.
Floydada in Floyd County, Texas. Snow magnitude estimated 8.0 inches. Reported by emergency manager.
Winter, chicken dinner. Where was that 8-inch snow report? That was an 8-incher. That's the winner so far of today's chicken dinner. And again, that's with all this activity out here. You can see we've got snow galore continuing. Travel on I-27 strongly discouraged between Lubbock and Amarillo. Plainview looks like it's at a standstill right now. So pretty much from the Lubbock airport on the north side of Lubbock all the way up to Plainview. Heavy snow. I-27 is not happy. And we are done with tornado warnings. All tornado warnings have been allowed to expire. Gonzies. Done. Nada. We have no severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings in effect in the state of Texas at this point, which makes Baldy in Chief much happier. So, let's go ahead and take a look at the high-res rapid refresh model again, and take a look at what we're expecting for the remainder of today into tonight. We are fortunate in that this is winding down the severe weather potential, at least, for Texas before this evening and afternoon's festivities or events. Let's go ahead, load data again. And I'll let this data load. It's going to take a minute. But again, here's the high-resolution rapid refresh model showing we may still have some severe weather threat through about 4 to 5 p.m. in the Piney Woods of East Texas, far southeast Texas, and the Golden Triangle. I'm so used to having a camera over here to my left instead of here to the right that I keep looking over to the left. I'm sorry. I'll try to adjust that for next time. We have a new layout in here, which I will take a picture of and share to our social media channels shortly after we conclude this coverage. But, again, snow will continue through the evening across the big country, northwest Texas, winding down this afternoon, the panhandle, west Texas, as temperatures fall into the teens out there, and whatever sticks is going to stay for today, tonight, into Monday morning. Northwest Texas and the Big Country, temperatures are going to be a bit warmer. They're going to be hovering near or closer or maybe just above freezing, which would allow for roads to remain just wet. I told you there's my W as an R thing. I said woads instead of roads. Roads to remain mostly just wet, but after sunset, or if you end up under a very heavy snow band where the snow overwhelms the melting rate, well, you're going to have an issue with some
Texas
travel.
Local storm report from Tulia in Swisher County, Texas. Snow magnitude estimated 2.0 inches. Reported by law enforcement.
Okay, so 2-inch snow in Tulia, that's south of Amarillo on 27. Well, Plainview's at 5 to 6 with heavy, heavy snow. They're probably picking up 1 to 2 inches an hour. So again, that is what we are expecting for the remainder of today, tonight. Notice that some scattered showers this afternoon continue in Texoma, North Texas, Northeast Texas. No severe storms with that. No tornadoes, no damaging winds, probably nothing more than pea-sized hail of that. And then we may see some snow mix in with the rain this evening into early Monday morning across Texoma and in areas west and north of the DFW Metroplex back to back to Abilene, with minimal accumulations possible on grassy surfaces. Temperatures will likely remain above freezing here. So with that being said, I do believe we are now blessed enough to be done with any severe weather warnings in the state of Texas, meaning we are now going to let our severe weather coverage go. I think we've been at it 3 hours now, about 2.5 to 3 hours, so not too bad. We are going to keep an eye on these storms. We're not going anywhere, but at this point, there's no need for us to remain live for an eternity. We will have live storm chasing video later this afternoon of the snow. We're going to go out and play in the snow because that's what we do. We like to play in weather because we're weird in that way. You know, if we're not chasing tornadoes and storms, we go and chase the snowstorm. So we'll do that. So we'll have live storm chasing video this afternoon. We'll share that link on all our social medias and app website when that happens. But until then, those of you in the Panhandle, West Texas, Northwest Texas, enjoy your snow day. And we'll see that rain-snow line transition further southeast towards Wichita Falls and Abilene this evening as that band of snow rotates around. With that being said, I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David Reimer. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us this morning. I hope you got by without any damage. Things could have been worse, but hopefully we got by without too many issues. Remember, you can always keep an eye on the sky with the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Get your local weather forecast, interactive weather radar, live storm chasing video, live severe weather coverage, and more. And as always, visit us on the web, TexasStormChasers.com. Thank you for helping us reach 140,000 subscribers this morning on the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube channel. And thank you to all of those who have also subscribed to us on the Texas Weather Center YouTube channel. Head on over to your device's app store, grab the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app, and we'll see you over there. If we have any new tornado warnings, we'll be back. But until then, y'all have a good morning. Have a good afternoon. God bless.
It's calm as Neil.